Welcome to That's So Savvy, the podcast where we dive deep into the stories and journeys of remarkable business leaders. Join our host, Nancy Aichholz, a seasoned professional and experienced entrepreneur, on her mission to discover the recipe for business success.
Welcome back to That's So Savvy. Today, I have Kendra Ramirez. I'm super excited to have you here today to talk all about AI, that scary two-letter word that we're all getting used to. For our listeners, Kendra is the CEO of KR Digital. She started in the digital world and has become an AI expert. She's actually built bots. She focuses particularly on B2B, but I think she's going to talk to us a little bit about AI and even our personal lives. She's given over 100 AI talks. So she is truly an expert. She's globally recognized on LinkedIn's homepage, winner of multiple awards, which we'll link in the show notes because they're impressive. And she helps all of us navigate change in sales, marketing, and recruiting. That's So Savvy podcast is supported by wonderful listeners like you. If you would like to hear more of our podcast and be more involved, please go to patreon.com, patreon.com, and you can donate as little as $5 a month or as much as you'd like to support That So Savvy podcast. If you'd like to advertise and reach our rapidly growing audience, please email us at thatssosavvypod, P-O-D, at gmail.com. That's so savvypod at gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. And we look forward to bringing That So Savvy podcast to you for a very long time in the future. So Kendra, welcome.
Thank you so much, Nancy. Thank you.
Tell us all about you.
Oh, goodness. So yes, I started a digital agency over 20 years ago. And it's so funny because it feels like 5.
Right. Yeah. I was going to say it's just been 5, but no, you're right.
Yeah. And I took my business plan to 3 different business coaches 20 years ago. And they were like, oh, I don't know. That seems like a fad. I'm not really sure you should do that. Yes. Which is laughable at this point. Yeah. Right. And so I'm like, I think you're wrong. I'm going to do it anyway. And it's kind of funny because it feels like deja vu again, because it's exactly what we're experiencing in AI.
Yes, exactly. And that's when people talk about AI and sort of the fear around it and, oh, it's got an evil side or whatever. Well, everybody thought that about the internet. Yeah. And yes, the internet does have an evil side, but you don't go use it.
Correct.
You know it's there and you avoid it. It's like any new technology. What is it about AI that is, we know it's revolutionary. What is this going to do for us? And what is it doing for us?
Well, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. And that's why I talk everywhere I can about AI, to the point of ChatGPT actually roasted me because I went in and said, of all the things you know about me, roast me. And it said, oh, based on all the conversations, talks, podcasts, trainings that you've done, you would probably speak at the local PTA.
Oh,
and it's true. And I'm passionate about it because I know what it's doing for businesses. I know what it's doing for individuals. Mm-hmm. And I don't want people left behind because every single technology shift we've ever had, women, minorities, and nonprofits are always left behind.
Right. I never thought about it that way.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't grasp the current technology, you won't be able to get the next one.
Correct.
That's where I'm a little freaked out because I don't know that much about AI. My experience has been using it a little bit for writing things, or if I Google something, I'll get an AI response. But there's a part of me, and you can help me through this, if I were to use AI to write a LinkedIn post or whatever, I feel like I'm cheating.
Yes. And this comes up often. So I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm going to free you of that today, for sure.
Good. Okay.
And yes, and all of our listeners as well. Do you feel lazy or guilty when you use an Excel formula, an Excel spreadsheet?
No, I feel challenged because I probably can't get the formula right.
But being able to use an Excel formula, an Excel spreadsheet, it's efficiency.
Right.
It's just efficiency and it's a tool.
Okay.
So we don't feel lazy or guilty doing that. Can you do long math? Absolutely. But being able to understand and using those tools and efficiencies to get our work done.
Right.
And so we shouldn't feel lazy or guilty using these tools because that's what they are. They're a tool.
Right.
And they're a tool for us to be able to do more work efficiently.
How are businesses using AI? And when you are out doing your talks, What do you tell people?
It's so fun. I love being able to lay a nice AI foundation. I work with businesses for them to understand what is AI, how are the use cases that they can implement, what tools should they consider, and then all the pitfalls. Going through those use cases of real world scenarios of how they can use it in marketing, sales, operations, HR, training development, customer service.
Wow.
Any and all content. Or even if you're just creatively stuck, right? You're like, I'm at a wall with this. I don't know how to navigate it. Or brainstorming. I'm constantly brainstorming. I'll be driving down the road and pull out ChatGPT and safely doing text to audio and say, here's a scenario I'm running through. What else should I consider? And it always gives me something else that I need to be thinking about. Or decision making. I was with some leaders and they had a very big, important decision to make as they were deciding, are they a sister company or are they a strategic partnership? There was a little bit of financial exchange, but not both ways. They'd been dealing with this for like 6 weeks.
Wow.
And so I said, let's just pull up AI and have that go through the pros and cons. I fed it the scenario. I didn't give company names. I fed it the scenario and said, give me the pros and cons. Okay. Are we a sister company or a partnership, strategic partnership?
Wow.
And in 30 seconds, it laid out the reasons, pros and cons, things to consider, and then said, based off the information you've provided me, it sounds like you are a strategic partnership. I looked at the 8 leaders at the table and said, are you guys good with that? And they're like, yep, sounds good. So we figured that out in 30 seconds.
Wow.
In those scenarios, have that thinking partner. Look at AI as more of you just hired an assistant. And the assistant is someone that has a level of a PhD. So being able to have that assistant and having that human connection. Just when we have hired a human person, they have to have guardrails. They have to be trained. They have to understand the context of what we're trying to do from a task standpoint. And then being able to play with it, understanding what roles that we want it to play, what tasks we want it to do. Because when I'm working with someone, when they've never, ever touched any of the AI tools, their brain tends to treat it like a Google search.
Yes, that's me.
That's
exactly where I am.
And so when we use it, we go and ask it questions versus actually using it as a task person, right? An assistant, giving it a task of write me a LinkedIn post, write a blog post. Using a tool like Descript, we want to go through this podcast to turn it into a transcript.
Oh my gosh.
Right?
Okay. Right.
So be able to go through in human resources like employee engagement, onboarding plans, performance reviews, interview prep, candidate review, training development. I was with an executive leader recently, and she was in the situation where she was just going in and saying, what is leadership development programs I should consider? And I go, no, we're flipping this. What I want you to do is go in and say, you are a senior facilitator. Write me a facilitation plan based on this workshop, this targeted audience, this targeted learning outcomes, and write the plan. So that's completely different, right? Think of it like you're walking into the largest restaurant you've ever been in. You're given no menu, and you tell the wait staff, hey, I want a piece of meat and a vegetable. Well, then the wait staff's trying to figure out what you really want to eat. But if I actually tell the wait staff, hey, I want a steak cooked medium with a slab of garlic butter and asparagus grilled with Parmesan cheese, that's prompting, right? That's the difference. So if I go into generic and say, write me a LinkedIn post, but I don't give it any context, then it's going to have to make up what it thinks you're looking for versus giving it that level of detail when we describe the steak and the vegetables that we actually are trying to do.
So really, if you are actually thinking about it as a human assistant, I wouldn't say to my assistant, go write a LinkedIn post for me.
Correct.
I would say, I just did an awesome podcast on AI and I need to promote it on LinkedIn. I need a really great story to put on LinkedIn to promote this podcast. That's exactly what I would say to an assistant.
Correct.
And I need it to be about this long. I need to be able to put pictures in it. And she would go do it.
Yes, that's exactly right. It's a huge mindset shift, right? We have to teach ourselves that when we're interacting with AI, we're giving it an assignment as if we have a human with us.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so for a novice like me, we're talking about AI tools and you put in this, you get out that. What are the tools? Do I need to download things? Do I need to buy software? How do I even get started?
So I've played with over 100 AI tools at this point. I'm always dabbling. I'm always pushing the boundaries because I want to know what are the best tools for businesses to use. I always tell people, don't start with the tool, start with what are you trying to achieve first.
Okay.
So by being really clear about what you're trying to achieve, we can figure out what is the best tool to get there. Some of the core models that a lot of us use are like ChatGPT, and you would just simply go to chat.com and sign up for a free account.
Okay.
Make sure you're actually logging in. You need to log in so it actually remembers the style of how you like to engage with the AI. Other tools are like Microsoft Copilot, which that's in the Microsoft environment for a lot of businesses to be able to use.
Okay.
And do it in that paid, private way so it's not training the AI on their business.
Oh, okay. So that's more of a confidentiality thing?
Yep.
Okay.
Private, secure.
Okay.
Yes. That you can speak freely in the AI without it actually being trained on your private information, your strategic information.
Because in theory, if it were out in GPT, then anybody can have access to it in theory.
What I always tell everyone is understanding if it's free, you're the product. So it has to be continually learning, and whatever we feed it, it's learning off of. And so when we're in the paid versions, it's still learning, but it's not regurgitating the information for someone else to be able to find.
Okay.
It's not as clear as when you do a Google search, it just coughs up something specific, an image, a resume, a paragraph. But in AI, it's not going to simply regurgitate every single thing. So if you go into ChatGPT today and say, give me Kendra Ramirez's resume, it'll say, oh, I see that she went to Western Kentucky, but it won't give me the full resume. So it's not going to give you the full information, but it'll give you parts and pieces.
So as a novice, I'd probably start playing with the free version.
Yes, correct.
And then with business initiatives, I would want to fairly quickly move to the paid that my proprietary information isn't out there.
And you can still redact information, right?
Yeah.
So if due to budget limitations, we still need to use the free version, that's fine. Just redact any information that is company information or personal identification information.
Okay.
So you can still use it without giving it any confidential things.
Okay. Trying to get out of the mindset of it being a Google search.
Yes.
Which I'm kind of tired of because I'm so sick of everything being sponsored.
Yes.
So I really don't know what is actually the best thing.
Right.
But so getting out of that mindset and starting to use it to develop things that I need and put it into something that's tangible. Does it make things like, could I say, I need to make a cookbook based on all my amazing recipes?
Yes.
Can you do that for me?
Yes.
Does that work?
Yes, it does.
Wow.
And so when you get stuck and you're like, I wonder if AI does this, ask it. A very simple scenario, I had a weird image file and I needed it to be a JPEG. I didn't know if the AI could do this. So I threw it into ChatGPT and said, can you make this a JPEG? And then I'm like, hey, can you make this a PNG? You can also ask it to provide downloadable formats of Word, Excel, or PowerPoint. So you can go in and say, build me a slide deck on this topic. Here's the information. Here's what I'm going to cover. Here's the outline, how long the deck needs to be, and provide it in a downloadable format.
And so you can do this both voice activated and sitting at your desktop typing it in.
That's the beauty of AI. Everyone thinks you have to be technical to use it. You do not. If you can speak or type, you can use AI.
A lot of people argue with that. If you don't enjoy cooking, don't do it. But if you enjoy it, then here's how to do it. If you enjoy using your phone and speaking at it while you're driving, then that's the way to go. Or if you really enjoy seeing the words, which I kind of do, then you have that option.
Yeah.
Really pretty cool.
What's nice about it is there is the mobile app as well. It syncs everything you do. So anything that I give it while I'm driving, I can also see on my desktop when I get back to the office.
Now for you, with as advanced as you are in the knowledge of this technology, what's your tool of choice right now?
Yeah. So I'm in and out of ChatGPT and Copilot on a daily basis because my clients tend to use those tools the most. So it really just depends on the different ones. And then I also use an AI tool for client meetings. I'll transcribe the meetings and do the meeting notes. And we have follow-up with all the next steps. I also use it for brainstorming, decision-making, meeting notes, planning. If I'm going and maybe I'm overwhelmed, I'm like, oh, I got all these things. I can throw that in there and say, prioritize this list for me. Or break down something for me into some baby steps. Or if I'm at an event or a learning session and I see a slide on the screen, I'm like, ooh, I like that, but I need it broken down for me. Maybe it's complex and can it simplify it? So all I do on my phone, pull out ChatGPT, take a photo, I put it in there and say, can you break this down into bite-sized pieces for me in a non-technical way? There's just so many things outside of just business that you can use it for. Like you said, recipes. Maybe you've got someone that has some food allergies and they're just tired of the same old recipes.
Right.
And you can ask ChatGPT or any of the AI tools, take a photo and say, what can I make based off what's in my pantry or my fridge?
Oh my gosh. I feel like the Jetsons.
Yes, yes. Or fitness routines, right? You can say, hey, what can I do at home with things that might be around my house? Or, hey, my knee's been giving me a little trouble, so I don't want anything that's going to affect that.
Yeah.
So give it the context and be really specific about the goals and outcomes that you have.
Right.
And it'll write a plan for you. Or you can write an itinerary for a trip. You can say, hey, I want to go hiking in Jacksonville. Give me a 7-day itinerary. Give me places to stay, things to see, places to eat. It'll write the whole itinerary as well.
So what are some of the risks with AI? Some of the things that either people worry about that are real or things that people worry about that really are not.
Just like the internet, there's good and bad. In AI, there's good and bad. So we've talked a lot about the good things and making sure that we understand the pitfalls. It definitely hallucinates. It's a people pleaser. It wants to do well and it'll very confidently answer you, but you need to fact check the information and make sure that it gives you real sources because it'll make up a hyperlink and you click on it and it goes nowhere. It totally makes it up. Verify the information. So in that situation, I always like to use a tool called Perplexity. Perplexity is another AI tool that gives real sources. So if I'm doing something that's more research-based or I really need to make sure the sources are real, I'll use Perplexity in those scenarios.
Okay.
Now, ChatGPT is getting better with that because there is web search now built into it, but I tend to still go to Perplexity on those real source situations.
Okay.
The other one, so hallucinating, making things up, the deep fakes and bias, right? The deep fakes are the thing that really scares me the most because I can very easily replicate your voice, my voice, your likeness, and put you in a photo or a video or something that sounds just like you.
Oh, yeah, that is scary. And what will curb that? Will it be legislation? What keeps that from becoming the evil tool of the bad guy in the cartoon?
Yeah, so regulation is just coming up, right? AI is happening faster than the government can keep up.
Sure.
So they're working on it. I also love that Adobe is starting to do these little watermarks for its content authenticity initiative. The watermark is almost like a little nutrition label. You can click on it and it'll say, who built it? When was it built? Its timestamp. How was it built? Was AI involved in it? So being able to have more tools like that to help protect us.
Good to know.
Yeah.
So now when you're working with a client, let's talk about the whole from start to finish. Let's say I refer a business that I know, I refer that to you. What happens next?
I meet with them and just do a discovery and understand their level of knowledge, right? Where are they in their AI journey? And what are they hoping to achieve? You know, what are the goals and outcomes that they're hoping to achieve? And then figure out a learning plan, a communication plan, understanding if their AI readiness, right? Do they have some data sets available? What do we have access to? Which tools would be able to help them meet those goals and help them identify those use cases?
Okay.
So it's a whole lot of kind of upfront in the discovery piece and that readiness assessment. And then a lot of learning and training along the way. And then using the AI implementation partners, or if they want to implement Copilot, or if they want to implement a specific semi-custom AI tool that's custom to their unique needs. And so it's really going through that discovery with them and that assessment and readiness, and then figuring out the pathways from that.
Who's your ideal client? Size, industry?
It's been all over it's rooms that I'm in is just always amazes me.
Which is because you're always learning.
Yes. I'm always learning as well. Yeah. Majority, I would say, in the small to midsize and nonprofits, in a lot of those organizations across the country. I've been pulled into a lot of global accounts that I really wasn't expecting. I asked them, why do you have me at the table? You've got Accenture at the table. Like, why? And they're like, I love how you think and you have nothing to sell us, right? You're not a software platform. And so that's been really fun to be in the meetings with Microsoft AI team or SAP's AI team, Accenture's AI team. And it's just been really fun to be a part of that learning.
You are seeing with these big consulting firms that they all have AI.
Yes.
It's everywhere now.
Yeah.
Is there any industry you think is really lagging behind as far as being an adopter of AI at this point?
That's a good question. I would say healthcare is really leading. Healthcare is doing really, really well.
Yeah. That's where you definitely want to fact check.
Yes,
please.
yes, please. Yes,
right.
That's right. That's right. I would say, again, small and nonprofits, right, have a tendency to be a little bit behind, but I keep saying not on my watch.
Well, and they're the ones that could benefit the most from a financial perspective.
Correct.
I mean, they have no money.
Correct.
Or very little, and they're so restricted on how they can use it. If this can replace hours of research, if it can replace a person here and there, for having run a nonprofit,
yes,
you are looking at every penny all the time.
Always.
And yet you are expected to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah. And we really look at it more as efficiency and assistant. We're not looking at it to try and replace someone.
Okay.
Because we need human in the loop.
Right.
Human in the loop is being able to look at the output of AI and engage with it. And so just like a very large nonprofit that we were working with, they have 16 different AI bots that are HR, finance, program development, right? Very specific roles that help assist the people in those roles.
Okay.
So it's more about being able to serve more people and doing it in an efficient way.
We talked about the fact that you have built bots.
Yeah.
So for the rest of us who are, again, novices, what exactly is a bot and why and how do you build one?
Yes. Well, there's several tools you can use. So it really depends, again, the use case. What are you trying to do? And what would be the best tools to get there? Some of them are simply tools like ChatGPT has what's called GPTs, and they're little private GPTs. You can go in and create those. Inside of Copilot, there are the AI Studio. You can go in and build your own little bots inside of that as well. CustomGPT.ai is another platform that I really like as well. And that could be a web AI bot or one that's also internal that the clients can use. So really depending on exactly what they're trying to achieve and figuring out which one and which aspect. Think of it like when you've been on a website and you get the web bot, if you will. The AI bots are way better.
Okay.
They're more
not
efficient.
The rainbow wheel of death.
Correct. They're so much better because the old school was more of just having a knowledge base and someone had to ask a very specific question to get a very specific answer. Well, now when we set them up, you don't have to write out all the questions. Yeah. You just feed that bot specific knowledge on that role and aspect that you want it to play. And then it's pulling from that information. So you don't have to figure out, what could the questions be that someone would ask?
Fascinating. I mean, it's exciting. It's great to hear this in such layman terms because it does seem like it's moving so fast that only the uber smart tech people can use it. But the reality is I'm probably using it and not realizing it.
Yes. I always say, when I'm with an audience, I always do show of hands of where you are on your AI journey. And everyone's like, I've heard about it, not using it. And then I say, are you using Apple? Are you using Amazon? Are you using Netflix? And hands go up. I'm like, guess what? You're already using AI.
Exactly. I have one, it's a recipe app and it has amazing recipes. I can put in cauliflower or brown butter, something that I have in my pantry, and it comes up with all the recipes.
I love that.
So it's like if my husband and I both bought 2 pounds of carrots because we didn't communicate, then what do I do with carrots?
Yes.
And how do I make them not taste like that?
That's right.
I guess that in a way is AI. It's just I'm not specifically using an AI tool. I'm using their tool. Well, tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing when you're not training people in AI, because for our listeners, they can't see you, but she's adorable and bubbly, and you don't expect her to be talking about such a high-tech kind of thing, but she's clearly an expert. You've been in the community a long time. So tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, thank you. I'm a technology nerd, so I'm always on my laptop, and so I need to unplug. And everyone always thinks this is so funny when I share this, but I love to mow grass.
Well, you and my husband get along great.
It's how I can truly unplug or be in nature, going on a walk, going on a hike, going trails, just truly unplugging, closing a laptop, walking away.
That's great.
I'm itching for spring and mow season.
After the winter we've had in this region, we are all itching for spring. Thank God we don't have this kind of weather very often. It's been something. We just got back from Texas. I'm like, why do I live here?
Same. I've said the same thing.
I live here because it's an amazing community.
It is.
Oh my gosh, our weather from May to October were wonderful. But the other times, you never know what you're going to get. It's the box of chocolate. It's not good chocolate.
Agreed.
Well, it's been so fun to have you here and so informative. I'd love to come to one of your talks and just hear the whole thing.
Please do.
I think it's fascinating. love to have you back another time when we can talk maybe about a specific business or a project or something. Would be great. I think that would be really exciting for our listeners. I have a question for you because you are in the world of hacks. What's your favorite life hack right now?
Ooh, I would say it's slow down. I think too many of us are like, go, 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 900 miles a minute. And when we actually stop to slow down, I start my mornings with gratitude and prayer. I'm very intentional about that because I need to ground myself before going into the day. That's really important for me. When I'm feeling overwhelmed or life is coming at me in different directions, if I slow down and get into more of a noticing practice, for me, noticing means stopping, putting both feet on the ground or getting out in the grass when you can and just noticing around you. What can you hear? What can you see? What can you smell? What can you taste? What can you touch? It just slows everything down.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do that enough as humans.
No, we don't. And that's a great hack. And what's awesome about that is a lot of times you think of hacks as a way to do something faster. And yours is to go the other direction, calm it down. One of my goals is to read 2 fiction and 2 nonfiction books a month. The nonfiction are generally kind of short. Although I just finished Killers of the Flower Moon. I'm a little behind on that because everybody else has read it. And I didn't realize that was nonfiction. Oh my gosh. So good.
Wow.
I cranked through that in like a day and a half. It was so good. But I find that I wasn't reading because I thought, well, I don't have time to read. Well, I've noticed as I calm down and read, I'm more focused. I have more time. I'm off anything electronic unless it's my Kindle. I'm surprised at how much more clear my mind is. I would not have thought that. I think that's a great hack.
Thank you.
So where can our listeners find you if they're not in this area? Where can they find one of your talks or sign up to attend one of your talks?
Oh, thank you. It's really easy to find me. I'm KendraRamirez.com and I'm Kendra Ramirez in all the social platforms as well.
Okay, great. Easy enough. Well, Kendra, it's been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Nancy. I appreciate it.
And that's So Savvy listeners. Thank you for being with us today. Don't forget to share, follow us on social media, and tell your friends about us. And don't forget to give us a 5-star review. Kendra definitely deserves it. And those 5-star reviews help us get our podcast out to more and more people. So we will talk to you soon. That's So Savvy podcast is supported by wonderful listeners like you. If you would like to hear more of our podcast and be more involved, please go to patreon.com, patreon.com, and you can donate as little as $5 a month or as much as you'd like to support That So Savvy podcast. If you'd like to advertise and reach our rapidly growing audience, please email us at thatssosavvypod, P-O-D, @gmail.com. thatssosavvypod@gmail.com. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your support. And we look forward to bringing That So Savvy podcast to you for a very long time in the future.